10 steps to financial freedom. Number one, get committed to a plan. This has to be your top priority. Life is full of distractions. Successful people can cut through the noise and focus only on what matters most. If you don't think financial security matters, you're a crazy chicken. You should decide once and for all whether you're ready to focus on financial freedom more than anything else. Maybe you're not ready to make that kind of commitment. If not, that's fine. But don't come crawling back to Uncle Kevin complaining that gas prices are the reason your financial future is in jeopardy. If you know that you can take control of your finances and you're ready to do some hard work, then pull up a chair, get out your notebook, and listen to Professor Kevin because class is in session. Start by coming up with a clear why. How many times have you excitedly started a new project and then given up at the first sign of trouble? Obstacles are inevitable. Whenever you decide to change your behavior, obstacles come up, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the journey. A clear why is like a calm in the storm. You can think about why whenever you run into trouble, and it will fuel you. If you're struggling to come up with your why, here are some common examples. Your daughter is an incredibly talented musician, and you don't want her to struggle to pay the bills. Perhaps you are sick and tired of your corporate job, and you want the freedom to work for a nonprofit, but can't afford the salary cut. Or maybe you just want to own a big, fat, red Ferrari. You'll find out why. Then make that push you. You'll know the reason, and it'll help you get there. If you're committed to go ahead now, then one step is already done. Let's go to step 2 and begin to build the plan. Number 2, you've got to know your numbers. Many people only start caring about money when it's too late. They look at their credit card statement at the end of the month and say, how did this happen? Have you ever done this? If so, never fear. Uncle Kevin can solve this problem too. You must create a budget. Add up your total monthly income paid to you after taxes. If you're self-employed, your income may vary, so it's better to do this for the last 3 months than take an average. If you're an employee and you don't earn any income on the side, then take last month's income. Then budget your essential costs: rent, food, phone, car, etc. Even this simple exercise surprises a lot of people who think they're better off than they actually are. Monitor your cash and assets plus minus any monthly changes, just as if you're running a business and pitching me on Shark Tank. You know what I always say, you've got to know your numbers. Without knowing your numbers, you have no hope of controlling your numbers. Separate your spending into different categories so you can keep track of where your money is going. It will be easier to determine if spending cuts are possible or required this way. You can also look at not just where you're spending money, but also how you're spending it: a credit card, checks, or cash. Some personal finance experts recommend you put all of your spending on a credit card so as to take advantage of reward points and cashback benefits, and because it's easier to track spending when it's all in one place, like a credit card statement. I'm not so sure I love this idea. Credit cards are easy to spend on. They're not real cash. They're sitting in your pocket just warming up, waiting to be used. And that's the part I don't like. You're probably spending too much. And in the next step, let's discuss how to keep your spending in check. Number 3, cost planning. Live within your means. Nothing makes me angrier than seeing people disrespect their money. Money is a complex emotional subject. Some people are ashamed of their money, but I'm not. Money is a gift because it costs money to live. You need to acquire a substantial amount. If you acquire enough of it, you're truly free. If you throw away your money, you're throwing away your freedom. And what could be crazier than that? Avoid buying junk and services you don't really need. It's time to get conscious about your money. Rather than wandering around and taking out your credit card at a moment's notice, create a background on your smartphone or your wallet that says, think twice before spending. Do I really need this? Add a smiling photo of me so you hear my voice whenever you're shopping, reminding you to be kind to your money so it can be kind to you. At minimum, you want to cut costs so you can save between 10 and 15% of every paycheck. If you're ambitious, aim for an even higher number. Derive a sense of satisfaction from saving money instead of spending it. Turn it into a game you play with yourself and others. Cook instead of eating out. Take the subway instead of driving a car. If you must have a car, get a used one. When you travel, stay at an Airbnb instead of a hotel. Start each month by anticipating unusual expenses that could come up and build a plan to ensure you still save 10 to 15% of every paycheck. You should negotiate items like rent, credit card fees, and phone bills. You might respond, "You don't know anyone else who does this," to which I'd say, "Do you only do what other people do? Give it a shot. The more you try, the better negotiator you'll become. And the more your money will thank you, and the quicker your road to financial freedom." Number 4, go to war against debt and never surrender. I think of my money as soldiers. I send them to war every day. I want them to take prisoners and come home so there's more of them. Debt is like a surprise attack from the enemy. It kills my soldiers before they can even get out of bed. If you want to be financially free, you need assets that produce passive income. Income you earn automatically even while you're sleeping. Debt is the opposite of passive income. It erodes your asset base while you sleep. Start with the highest interest debt, probably your credit card bills. Interest rates north of 20% can trap you for years if you're not careful. Then work your way down the list as aggressively as possible. You want to get rid of these debts. If you're trapped in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, you can call your credit card company and negotiate, since they would rather have some of the debt repaid than none of it. You'd be amazed at how flexible they can be in some situations. Once you've cured the disease of debt, make sure you take your medicine. Only return to debt for good reasons, and do so very carefully. Your education and long-term assets like your home may require debt, but you should be crystal clear on why you need these things and how long the repayment process will last. You can radically reduce the length of your repayment process through automation. Ask your bank to arrange automatic transfers from your checking or savings account to your line of credit or mortgage, so that every time you earn a paycheck, you will not second-guess yourself and indulge your inner spender. A plan is only as good as your ability to stick to it. You've got to execute debt reduction. That's the key to long-term success. Number 5, income planning. Focus on increasing income even more than decreasing spending. I love when people develop the discipline to cut spending. But even if you focus like a laser beam and finally get your spending in check, you've not yet found the highest leverage approach to quicken your path to financial freedom. Earning more is the key. Cutting back on lattes is great, but earning more has so much more potential to make a difference, because the extent to which you can earn more is limitless. You can only cut spending so much. How do you earn money? Most people should start with a job they like and that pays enough. If you're not sure what that is, take some time to reflect and ask your friends and family to give you an honest appraisal of your strengths. Don't just settle for the first available job. You must find one that is consistent with your strengths, as people are very different from one another. A great job is not a great job unless it's a great job for you. If you find a job you love and are good at it, go the extra mile. Add tons of value and ask your boss for a raise, showing him or her what you've done and what you plan to do in the future. Take the money from your job, and before you spend, save. Once you've hit your saving goal, then invest surplus cash before you spend it. Purchase assets that pay cash flow, like dividend stocks, bonds, or cash flow real estate. You can also add an income hobby. Lots of people build side gigs as trainers, tutors, cooking coaches, or they resell collectible items. They act as party DJs and handymen. The important thing is to find something you enjoy. Otherwise, you'll dread your side gig and you'll lose motivation. Number 7, emergency planning. What if you get hit by a bus? It's when you're the most content in life that it has a way of biting you in your exposed posterior. That's why on Shark Tank, I always ask entrepreneurs to tell me what would happen if they get hit by a bus. I usually get a deer in the headlights reaction because they haven't thought about this question. If they haven't thought about the question, I don't invest. Don't let yourself make the same mistake. Whether you know it or not, you're the CEO of the business of your own life, and unless you're extremely lucky to come from wealth, you need to mitigate emergency risk. Healthcare for you and your family can be expensive. Losing your job can be expensive. Your life can change in the blink of an eye, and you need to be ready. Aim to have a cash reserve of at least 3, 6, or 12 months of basic costs, depending on your risk tolerance. If you want to be truly safe, 12 months is great. Liquid cash is what makes the world go round, and it's the best way to mitigate emergency risk. Before you start investing, build your reserve. Learn the basics of insurance. If you don't have the reserve, Plan for how long it will take for you to get your desired point on the 3, 6, 12-month spectrum. Remember what I taught you in the savings section. Your psychology is always working against you. The idea of an emergency plan sounds great as you sit in my lap listening to this. However, months after you've listened, you may forget my wisdom. So correct for that mistake now. Create an automatic transfer from the account from which you earn your salary to an account that you've created specifically for this purpose. A simple no-fee account will do. Put the money somewhere where you know that the cash is not for spending. Number 7, if it matters, measure it. Measure your progress every month. Track your progress. Don't just create a budget and sit back. You need to build a system that shows you whether you're making progress towards your goals and how much. Some apps can automatically update this for you, but a simple spreadsheet will also do, or even a pen and a piece of paper. If you're earning income from multiple sources, you'll want to track the earnings as they come in. You can also make income and spending projections for the year. Try gamifying the process. It's tons of fun to beat your income and spending goals. Be sure to set projections that you'll be happy with so that if you beat them, you know you'll be in great financial shape. Be ready to adjust your goals and plans if needed. Unexpected events will occur all the time. As I mentioned, the emergency planning step, you'll need to be ready. At the beginning of the year, try to guess how much you'll need for emergencies, knowing that the guess is imperfect. Adjust your projections as events occur. You can also use this spreadsheet as a to-do list on steroids. Do you find yourself forgetting to do important things all the time? Combine your financial projections with a to-do list. For each income stream or project you're working on, list the next important thing you need to do. Every morning, look at the list so you know what to do next. Every evening before you go to bed, update the list. This system only works if you check it every day. I know it sounds tedious, but remember, we're talking about financial freedom here. That's the goal. For example, if you need to talk to your accountant to further your tax planning goals, list call accountant next to tax planning on your spreadsheet. In the morning when you wake up, add tax planning to your calendar. The odds will be much higher that you'll call your accountant. Number 8, tax planning. It's not sexy, but everybody should do it. I get it. Taxes are boringo. Believe me, I totally get it. No one likes thinking about tax or doing their taxes. Rather than thinking about how painful taxes are, I prefer to think about how much money I can save through good tax planning. Even people with very simple financial lives can benefit from taking some basic steps. Start by individual retirement accounts, IRAs, to maximize your tax savings. There's 2 very important ones for anyone to use, traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. The big difference between the two is that you contribute before tax dollars to a traditional IRA and after tax dollars to a Roth IRA. Traditional IRAs give you a tax deduction for contributing in any given year, but you pay a penalty if you withdraw the funds before you turn 59 and a half. If you're an employee whose taxes are deducted at source, it's easy to contribute to a traditional IRA. Many employers automatically handle your contributions for you. With Roth IRAs, you contribute after-tax dollars, but all of your investments in the account appreciate tax-free, whether capital gains or dividends. You can withdraw funds tax-free as long as the contributions remain in the account for 5 years, so it's a more flexible tool. If you can only contribute to one or the other retirement account, try to anticipate whether you'll be in a much higher tax bracket when you retire. If not, that's an argument in favor of contributing to a Roth IRA. Whereas if you do anticipate being in a higher tax bracket when you retire, that's a good argument in favor of a traditional IRA, since it reduces your taxable income. You should also consider donating to charity. It warms my heart to do this. Plus, I can take advantage of tax deductions. If you contribute to a registered charity of your choice, you can do this too. Number 9, a financial advisor. Consider getting one once you have enough assets. Not everybody loves money as much as I do. If it doesn't animate every fiber in your being the way it does mine, think about hiring an advisor. People hire coaches in many different fields, from sports to music, but lots of people hate the idea of hiring a financial advisor. But if you don't know much about managing your money, is it insane to hire a financial advisor who can actually help manage it for you? Remember that even if you're not interested in your money, it still matters as much as anything else in your life. It deserves careful love and attention. like a young child. If you can't parent your money, hire a nanny. There are a lot of good and bad advisors, just as there are good and bad sports coaches, so you need to do your due diligence. Make sure you read online reviews if your potential advisor has a web presence. If they don't, I recommend speaking to a current client. Most professionals have LinkedIn profiles, so pull it up and see if there are any recommendations. If not, take a look at their network and reach out to people to ask if they have or known anyone who has worked with that advisor. Unsolicited references are the best because the odds are much higher that you'll get the truth. And the truth may set you free from the horrors of an incompetent financial advisor. Make sure to compare different advisors when you're ready. Advisors can be valuable, but their services aren't free, which means investors typically need over $100,000 in assets before they seek out a financial advisor. Even if an advisor will work with you with less than $100,000, they may charge a significantly high fee that isn't worth your while. Therefore, it may be best to manage your own money until you can afford a good advisor. Number 10, the freedom formula. There's nothing sweeter than freedom itself. What does freedom look like for you? That can be a hard question, so let me give you my answer. Freedom is when you've got enough passive income from your investments to cover all your typical expenses. How do you get there? Simple. Follow the 10 steps in this guide. Start with being honest with yourself about whether you're ready to make financial freedom your top priority. If so, welcome aboard. If not, get your head examined. Next, add up your typical monthly income and costs. Make sure that you're living within your means and create automatic transfers to ensure you save at least a predetermined minimum about every month. Pay down your debt, starting with the highest interest rate, then create an emergency cash reserve so you can sleep soundly at night. Now you're ready to think about ways you can earn more, from getting a raise to starting a side hustle to building a business. Invest your spare cash in valuable assets, especially cash flow assets like stocks with dividends and rental properties. There are also other unconventional assets out there, though be sure to take the time to do your due diligence. It's always best to understand what you invest in. If I can't understand it, I don't invest in it. Once you've built a simple, debt-free system that protects your savings and keeps your cash flow machine humming, make sure that you keep track of everything so you can immediately course correct if some part of the machine is broken. Then optimize your machine through tax planning, ensuring you get to keep as much of your hard-earned cash as possible, and hiring a competent, ethical advisor who knows more about personal finance than you do. I can't wait for you to join me in financial freedom. It's a really good place to be.